Footbridge Library, another instalment of great Scottish reads handpicked for you to celebrate Book Week Scotland. Book Week Scotland wouldn't be complete without a look at some Scottish crime, and I'd like to introduce you to Claire Askew's new novel, Cover Your Tracks. I'm sure many of you are already fans of Claire's, but if you haven't tried her yet, then you really must. If you're up to date with all your rebuses, you've read all the Karen Perrys that you can find, then D.I. Helen Birch is probably the Edinburgh detective that you've been waiting for. Although if Edinburgh doesn't do it for you, then this particular book does actually head west a little bit, so it's not entirely Edinburgh centric. This is actually the third outing for D.I. Helen Birch, and it doesn't disappoint. And I also highly recommend that you catch up with the back catalogue of this, which is instalment 1, which is All the Hidden Truths, and instalment 2, which is What You Will Pay For, both of course available from your friendly local library. Anyway, each book can be read as a standalone book, so I would recommend that you start at the beginning, but if not, absolutely jump right in here and you'll soon pick up where everyone else is left off. But if it's not your first Helen Birch book, then we're happily reunited with the familiar cast of characters, both in our personal and professional lives. This instalment follows the case of missing persons George and Phoebe MacDonald, which is first brought to Helen's attention by their erstwhile son, a larger-than-life character who's returned back to Edinburgh with not entirely altruistic motives. But Helen's initially quite sceptical that what he's looking for her to do is private detective work for free. But as he flags up his father as an abusive husband and a violent man, she's increasingly drawn into the story. She goes and speaks to their neighbours and the people who bought the house, and she increasingly becomes suspicious, so she decides to dig a bit deeper into the story. And of course, she's ably assisted as ever by DC Amy Cato. Meanwhile, we also pick up the story of Helen's brother Charlie, who's now incarcerated. He's looking at a bit of a longer jail sentence after an altercation they had in prison. And we also have the emergence of another long absent family member, which is another conflict for Helen to deal with. The story, as ever, is interspersed with excerpts from newspapers and diaries, and it rattles along at quite a good pace, and eventually it becomes unputdownable. And obviously we still have the subplot of Helen's burgeoning relationship with the lawyer Anjan, who's very understanding as Helen's increasingly distracted by work and our time is dominated by it. One of the strengths of the book, I think, is actually just how human Helen is. Her fridge is understocked, she's sometimes too tired to go on a date with her boyfriend, she often says the wrong thing to her boss, she moans about all the emails that she has on a Monday morning. But she's also really determined, creative, she's tenacious, she's really good at her job. And I like how she's never slow to get her hands dirty and to pitch right in. She doesn't think she's above doing these things. And I like her repeated frustration at things like bureaucracy and budgets and management. As the story evolves, a connection emerges to George's train spotting past. It takes it off in an even more sinister direction, and beyond just a straightforward missing person story. This time it even takes us a bit closer to us here in Lanarkshire, because it takes us to Carstairs and of course the infamous Carstairs Junction. So if I told you any more of the plot, I'm sure I would be giving away spoilers, which I really don't want to do. But I would encourage you all to read not only this Claire Askew Cover Your Tracks, but all the other lovely new books that we've got in for Book Week Scotland, from new and emerging Scottish writers, as well as some established experts. Anyway, thank you. Bye now.